Yo, what's up? It's me, KP, and I'm back. Once again, it's Black History Month. This month is the 100th year anniversary, so I'm just going to watch some videos here. This one's just going to be a bit of a viewing, man. Few random videos. It seems like they're all very different, like, array of people here from obviously kind of the same backgrounds or same experiences at least, but they all seem to be saying the same thing. So yeah, I'm just gonna play this, and I think we should just view and watch and listen to it. Put your comments in below. I might tune in here and there, but really this one's just a viewing session, yeah? So yeah, watch these ones with me. I've not watched these in their entirety either, so that's when I'll talk when I'm reacting to stuff, yeah? First off, we got Kanye, Ye himself.
Dad was a Black Panther, but when Disney makes Black Panther, now when you look it up, you don't see my dad protecting his neighborhood. You see this character that's made for Black people to idolize, that was designed by a white person and put out by a white company. So it's controlling the narrative to say, we're going to show you Harriet Tubman, we're not going to show you Nat Turner. And they do it every chance they get. Maleficent, they called her race of people the Moors. And the Moors are, and I just saw it again. I was just like, yo, if you erase our history, most Black people, we think we came from slaves. We don't know our bloodline. And we're given Black History Month and we take that like it's some gift to us. No, it's a programming to us. Because also what they show in Black History Month is us getting hosed down, reminding us that we were slaves. Like, what if we had, remember when I cheated on you month? Remember when you first found the text messages? How does that make you feel? It makes you feel depleted and defeated.
Yeah, that's nuts. I didn't know that Kanye's dad was a Black Panther. Wasn't Tupac's parents Black Panthers too? But yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, but that video speaks for itself. Um, there's a lot of things that go on underlying in the background. But yeah, I think history is made by who wins the past. What's that saying? You already know what I'm trying to say. But that doesn't mean that we can't make our own future and write our own history. I think that's what we need to be doing. Just like Kanye is doing now, he's speaking his experiences. So I think this is what we want to be doing. And this is what the video is kind of about. Unity. Is there unity? Let's find out.
I don't think Nelson Mandela is a hero. A lot of people do.
I've heard about this before, but just try to unpack it.
But I've been meditating on the words of Samora Machel, who was the president of Mozambique and led them to independence from the Portuguese. And to paraphrase, he said, if one day you hear the Europeans praise me, just know that I have betrayed you. I was thinking about that a lot recently. I think there's so much abundant wisdom to gain from that. But in the example of Nelson Mandela, a lot of people, when he's hailed around the world, statued around the world as this great civil rights leader and the first president of United South Africa, and led South Africa out of apartheid in 1994. But a lot of people just won't know is that, like, in South Africa, a lot of people, especially like critical theorists and radical theorists, see Nelson Mandela as having essentially sold them out. Post 94, South Africa ran its economy on what we call the Washington Consensus, which was like free marketism and an introduction of like the IMF model of bringing in free markets and a liberalization of the market and protection of private property. And what that meant is that a lot of like the white sort of colonial masters' property was preserved and protected. We can't understand political power as only along one vein. It's not just about, oh, we now have the vote, we're now enfranchised, we now are under the same law. Because if you come from a starting point of radical wealth disparity, that has a power element to it. So a lot of people saw Nelson Mandela's conciliatory tone as not progressing Black people out of subservience, but in some ways like kind of rationalizing the disparity between the poor and the elite. But we think about like Samora Machel, but I think his words there is that we want to recognize as a national liberation struggle that our interests are diametrically opposed to that of the oppressor. Yeah. And what that means is that as a bellwether, if at any point you see the oppressor whose material interests are only ever designed to subjugate you, if you ever see the oppressor praising me, then understand that I have betrayed you. I think what that reaffirms and sort of puts really concretely is that this is a diametric opposition. We can take it to Fanon when he talks about the inherent violence of colonialism, because you are replacing one set of people with another. I think we need to be mindful oftentimes in our work, in our line of work, in the political activism around the world, that concessions are often not a route to success, but a cementing of a marginally softer oppression.
So yeah, first of all, the first thing I thought was using Nelson Mandela as that hook is actually kind of crazy, but then it got into it and I'm thinking, okay, it's making sense. But this video and the one before, they're both saying the same thing. They just said it in completely different ways. Kanye saying that what is being shown is Black history rewritten. Then North Star Politics, whoever this speaker is, then goes on to say, okay, we know about Black history, but what Black history do we know? Well, we know about Nelson Mandela, but we've only been shown this one person. Why? Because they're not showing us all our other history. So what is the reason as to why we're being shown Nelson Mandela and he's been hyped up so much? Well, actually, Nelson Mandela did do some things here and there, but really, he didn't actually really fight to get the best outcome for things, like the Black Panthers were trying to do, etc., etc. And then now tying that now back to what Kanye said, what's being promoted is Black history, but with a white face, etc., etc. What's not being shown are those freedom fighters, etc. Freedom fighters like the Black Panthers, but then also pro-Black people, such as the two people that he mentioned.
Rights leader and the first president. I was thinking about that a lot recently. I was thinking about that of Mozambique and led them to independence from the Portuguese, and especially like critical theorists and introduction of like this property was preserved and protected with subservience, but in some ways like kind of rationalizing the any point you see the oppressor whose material interests are only ever designed to subjugate you. If you ever see the oppressor praising me, then understand that I betrayed you. I think what that reaffirms and sort of puts really concretely is that this is a diametric opposition. We can take it to Fanon when he talks about the inherent violence of colonialism, because you are replacing one set of people.
So there's Mozambique and there's Fanon. Mozambique said, if you see the Europeans praising me, then I failed you. He said that before. He said that, and now years to come, this is what's then happened. And now also then it then came to Fanon, and then Fanon saying it's a diametric opposition.
I think what that reaffirms and sort of puts really concretely is that this is a diametric opposition. We can take it to Fanon when he talks about the inherent violence of,
and then it's the inherent violence of colonialism. So then the colonialism then goes back to Kanye West. What Kanye West is saying is colonialism taking over an area, a territory, but also rewriting history. And then once again, what then that comes down to is what Kanye West was talking about. So these two videos here are very much tied together here. So like I just said at the beginning of the video, there's two people so far from very different walks of life, but with the same experiences and the same thought processes, saying the same thing. So you might say some people's opinions and wording aren't as valid as the other, but now that's two people that are saying the same thing. So let's go on to the next video, yeah?
a cementing of a marginally softer oppression.
Wait, I'm going to say something. There has been no other ethnic group within the confines of the history of this nation that had the color of their skin stigmatized like Black Americans did. Not one. So let me say that one more time for the camera. There is no other ethnic group in the history of this nation that had the color of their skin defined as the basis upon which they were stigmatized and used as a thing, as a tool, not a person to be respected.
And even not true. For the last 10 years, they have been stigmatizing straight white males and basically keeping them out of universities, jobs, and moving up in careers because of it.
And the thing is,
all the reports are coming out right now.
Mason, let me get this.
Wait, but you had a great monologue.
You do know that at one point it was illegal to even teach slaves to read. It was illegal to even issue birth certificates.
I understand. You never went through that. Why should I pay you for it?
Listen, my daddy was born in 1965. He and his mother, let me be clear, my grandmother went.
Sorry, I hate that. That happened over those long time ago. Why do I have to pay you for that? Why did we have to pay you with our bodies and blood, sweat, and tears, bro? Like, what?
White males and basically keeping them out of universities, jobs, and moving up in careers because of it.
And the thing is,
all the reports are coming out right now.
Mason, let me get this.
Wait, but you had a great monologue.
You do know that at one point it was illegal to even teach slaves to read. It was illegal to even issue birth certificates.
I understand. You never went through that. Why should I pay you for it?
Listen, my daddy was born in 1965. He and his mother, let me be clear, my grandmother saw Dr. King give the I Have a Dream speech. Shirley Franklin saw Dr. King give the I Have a Dream Dream speech. So they were alive during the time that the lasting economic impact of slavery and redlining and Jim Crow and segregation and the lack of real estate access had direct impacts on black Americans. So we may not have been in the fields, but we were still suffering the economic disparity of impact from policies that were hundreds of years old. So
and now white guys are suffering economic impacts because of what you guys have done for DEI for the last 10 years.
I'm actually shocked. Black people only made up 3% of all DEI hires. What are you talking about?
I know it actually benefited white women the most, didn't it?
Right, so it didn't benefit my people.
I was talking about white men. But I would like to add. I didn't say that.
So this is just uneducation at its finest. But once again, what everyone was trying to get across to him was the same thing about socioeconomic, historical preferences of where things go. If you guys don't know about redlining, look into redlining. There's also many other things that he mentioned here that you should look into. But yeah, everything that was just said here links back to the two people spoke about in the last video.
Gaddafi wanted that. Gaddafi wanted
in Lumumba, and then
he was going to give free healthcare, free education. We're going to get gold, have our own money.
Throughout all
and then the U.S. was like, oh no, Hillary and all of them was like, oh hell no, we can't have that. Africa come together because Africa is feeding everybody. Period. And they made it look like, right
now it's China.
China's coming in, they're putting in a lot of in Nigeria. They're coming in. What are they? I don't know the specifics of what China's doing.
It was infrastructure. They were doing infrastructure.
What's the trade-off, though?
That's always the big one.
So what's the trade-off? Like, I don't think you come into Africa, or you come into any place and in Africa and go, oh yeah, I'm going to go build your infrastructure.
But you're not going to recolonize. They're not.
In my country, taking over the mines.
You said taking over the mines?
The mines, the diamond and all of that stuff, that's what they take over. And then in return, they build you a nice,
hotel and roads.
Nice, parliament, whatever.
Anyway, come on, man.
But
it's the leadership. It's the African leadership, man.
Yeah.
Even in Nigeria, there's MAGA, Nigerian President MAGA.
Oh yeah. I heard about this.
Was it Make Africa Great Again?
Dude, no, MAGA. He's Trump supporter.
No, it's this. There's this though. There's this.
What's up?
Christianity.
Yes.
Right? I speak to my grandmother, right? My grandmother's like, oh man, that guy is, bringing back Christianity into America. Wow. That disconnection? That's Christianity. Most Africans love Trump. You'll be so surprised. They love it because he's speaking their language, which is Christianity.
And he doesn't even realize nationalism.
They don't realize what's happening.
I will say though too, I would say, for the most part, there is a conservative value that the continent of Africa.
Yes.
There's a lot of conservative, because I know, for the most part, I would think the way I grew up in the Nigerian culture, it's very conservative.
Yeah.
In respect, there's so many different things.
Yeah.
But I think so many people have taken conservative and automatically lined it up with the Republican Party.
Oh, definitely.
And there's just a lot of values when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to, being resourceful, not wasting, being diligent with your money, all those types of things that are considered conservative values. I think those are the things that I think Africans connect with, with those 100%. Things. But then it's been turned and flipped into political things.
100%. It takes you traveling around.
No doubt.
Learning stuff. Whenever I go back to my village, I realize, oh my God, I've been learning so much. My conversation with some of my friends is totally different now.
Yeah.
I'm realizing I'm like, oh, you don't know this actually. Because I've been to that country. I know what they do there.
Right.
And
that's you can see the misinformation.
Exactly.
That's going back.
Dude, I went to West Virginia, man.
Go ahead,
Oh my God, they don't advertise West Virginia on TV.
Yeah.
No. I didn't know that kind of America existed.
Yeah.
I was shocked, bro.
There's a very famous song by John Denver. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.
So last few. That's a different one right there.
West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.
154, we all connected, baby. You already know.
So yeah, this one then just kind of talks about more about misinformation, about how even today, Africans, black people are being sold dreams. There's Trump that is selling one narrative that a lot of people are agreeing to in America, in Africa, sorry. But then there's also then comes down to China investing in the infrastructure, but at what costs? So then it then comes down to who's making these decisions for Africa is the African leaders. What are the aims of the African leaders? Do they have a long run going in here? Like, have they got the long vision here? Because I did see other things about like Africa making like AfricaNet, and they're gonna decentralize like their whole internet structure so that they have their own servers and things like that. So that I have seen a lot of different things when it does come to America. But yeah, right now this video makes me feel like what was talked in the past, in the video, sorry, and what's happened in the past, and all those things that have happened in the past have now had an effect in the current. And it may not be outlandish. I think that when it comes to racism, racism's changed from being in your face to being behind closed doors. And I think that's kind of what I want to say here.
I'm talking 1-5.
Yeah, I got these videos because I watched a bit of it, not all of it, because I wanted to kind of react with you at the same time. But sometimes someone can get your message across better than you and more eloquently than you. And I feel like hopefully these videos can do that. Get my message across.
We're bringing Africa around the whole globe.
Yeah, shout out to 154 Podcast. They're like probably one of my favorite podcasts at the moment. Yeah, check them out if you get a chance. A long ass outro there. Come on, 154.
Ain't no place like home.
Here we go.
This past week, the new Twitter update dropped, and shout out to Elon. He might have did his big one because now Twitter is showing account locations, and many of the black pages on Twitter that spread anti-black rhetoric and contribute to gender wars are being exposed for being based
Pakistan, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, Europe, Australia. So these places are doing anti-black rhetoric. Mad.
The new Twitter update dropped, and shout out to Elon. He might have did his big one because now Twitter is showing account locations, and many of the black pages on Twitter that spread anti-black rhetoric and contribute to gender wars are being exposed for being based in India and East and South Asia. Accounts that got exposed are MAGA accounts, so-called American political accounts, large hip-hop pages, fake black American accounts, catfish influencers, and various bot accounts. And these pages weren't just trolling for fun. They were leading narratives, creating fake diaspora beefs, starting gender wars, pitting black women versus black men, spreading stereotypes, and launching misinformation. And the thing is, people have been calling it out for a minute now, but it's cold hard facts now. They're literally weaponizing blackness, pretending to be black Americans, grifting inside the culture, and rage baiting their way into US politics from countries they're not even from. This update might be the best thing to happen on Twitter since Elon acquired it. Someone said black oppression is a global operation. And boy, is that true. We're in an era of digital blackface. And the most interesting thing I find about this whole situation is that they have to put black people at the center of their chaos because they know that's the only way they'll get engagement. Why is that?
So yeah, this video said weaponizing blackness. That's been happening with slavery. What's being shown to us is just slavery, people getting hosed down. Kanye West said that. And now what is like nice about this X feature, hopefully it's still happening, is hopefully there will be a bit of accountability or a bit of enforcement on if you are going to be releasing this information. Let's be outwardly black. I mean, outwardly black, be outwardly racist. Do you know what I mean? Like, be outwardly confident. Like, have the vim without being a private account or a faceless account. Because at the moment, what's happening is there's a lot of things going on behind closed doors, and this one connects everything that I've said in the past as well, or in this video in the past as well. So maybe watch this one again, because he did say some very interesting things that might have gone over your head. I'm just conscious of how long the video is going, so I don't want to rant on like I usually do. I'm just trying to keep this succinct, yeah?
Africa's biggest challenge is basic migration. Like, prime example, you have Senegal and then you have Gambia. These are two countries that's right next to each other. Literally 2.5 hour drive. That's like me going to Macon, Georgia. But to get to Macon, when I get to Macon, there's a border waiting for me where I gotta have my passport shown and I have to have a visa to get to Macon. Imagine the 50 states in America, everywhere that you go, if you have to fly right now from Atlanta to New York, you need to get a visa or you need to show your passport and go through immigration. Would you?
That's mad. I didn't know that in Africa you had to get a visa from, not continent, from country to country. Why? We don't even have to go get a visa. Well, maybe we do now because we're out of the EU. But do you know what I mean? Like, visas. Imagine having to get a visa to go from Wales to England or from England to Ireland. That's just mind-boggling. Do you know what I mean? So why is it that this is what happens in Africa? That's crazy.
Would you be inclined or even motivated to travel? No, because you can't get there. So now imagine how that affects trade.
One sec.
Imagine the 50 states in America, everywhere that you go, if you have to fly right now from Atlanta to New York, you need to get a visa or you need to show your passport and go through immigration. Would you be inclined or even motivated to travel? No, because you can't get there. So now imagine how that affects trade. Imagine how that affects the basic economy in the continent. This is by design. They know as long as they can keep us locked in our little corners in our little cities and countries. And I mean, there's no reason why that continent have that many presidents and none of them thinking the same. They all have a different agenda that they're all going for. And they all have their own family that they're trying to protect so they don't get cooed out. So they put family members in position of cabinet to be ministers when they're not educated to even know what that role means. So countries don't move. You know, and then the fact that a vendor from one country can't travel to a vendor or meet with another vendor for a basic meeting to do basic deals with another country also affects the economy. So just the borders itself that's put into Africa stops growth, because until Africa is released the borders and it can unite to be thriving in business, it's always going to be in the same position and it'll never be able to develop. Because every country that asks for money for development to the World Bank, they look at the population. They look at the credit in that population. They look at projects that's been successful in that population. But you're not going to find anything because most of them countries are too small to stand alone. So they won't be qualified for that funding anyway. But if they were more countries combined together with that population that expands and is more, increased, and then you look at all the opportunities with the resources in all those countries combined, then they'll be qualified for all that funding, and then they'll be able to develop. But they don't want Africa to develop because it's not in their interest for it to develop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is very interesting. Me personally, I always just seen Africa as Africa. Obviously, there are different areas within Africa, like there are within any country or continent. There's the areas within areas. But I would have liked to have thought that, like, Kenya could get money for grant and funding easily, or easier than I thought. But like Akon just said, because they are separate entities, they're not even able to get this money. And that kind of goes back to, maybe it was the last video, the video before, when it came to talking about like Gaddafi versus the other leaders and miseducation and who's in power, who's been put in power. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, look into what Akon's doing at the moment, because he is doing a lot of like tech things when it comes to trying to advance Africa's economy. I believe it's called, I think he's doing Acoin, but he's doing loads of other things as well. I think maybe something with water as well. Yeah, he's doing a lot of things. So look into Akon if you can.
Bill Cosby got locked up because him and his wife didn't want to let the second largest oil company in the world drill under their Massachusetts home.
That line right there shook the internet. According to Dr. Umar, there's a story behind Bill Cosby's case that the mainstream media never talked about.
No white woman is waiting 40 years to tell on a rich-ass black man. Remember, at the time, Bill Cosby is what Denzel is now. You understand me?
That's actually true. That is actually crazy. Like, Bill Cosby is what Denzel is to us now. A big, 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 big person. Up there, untouchable. Denzel's untouchable, I'd like to think. But now let's see in 20 years if something's going to come out about Denzel.
No white woman is waiting 40 years to tell on a rich-ass black man. Remember, at the time, Bill Cosby is what Denzel is now. You understand me? Bill Cosby was the man back then. Right. He opened up TV. He's at the top of his game. He sexually assaults you, innocent white woman, and you don't tell nobody for 40 years? Not only one of you, it's like 30 of them. And then all of a sudden, they get this epiphany. All at once, their white ancestors came and said, stand and go tell. Right. And they all came out at one time.
So, just you got to remember, like, in the past, black people were being accused of things they did not do simply because a black person looked at a white woman. So if now, and that wasn't even true, if these things did happen and they were true, why have so many people gone so long to accuse or speak up? So I don't condone what he's been accused of, no way at all. I am uneducated when it comes to his case, the deeper things into it. But if what is being said is true, it is very interesting to see that this is what's come from it. And for this to be said linked to oil, which is then to be linked to land, which is rightfully Bill's, but someone else wants what is not theirs, it's no surprising. It's history repeating itself. It's the same brand with a different sticker on it. I'm not too sure if this is true, but it's food for thought nonetheless.
Cosby got locked up because him and his wife didn't want to let the second largest oil company in the world drill under their Massachusetts home. They wanted oil. Cosby and Camille led the crusade by the neighborhood association to not let them drill. They decided to get him arrested because they felt that they could bankrupt him through legal fees, which would force him to sell the house. They get access to the drilling.
Dr. Umar claims this was about money, power, and resources, not justice. Now, whether you believe this or not, one thing's clear. There's always more than one side to the story. What do you think really happened? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
Yeah, what do you guys think that actually really happened? Drop your thoughts. If you know certain what is the truth, give me a link, give me some evidence, give me some proof. Or just like just educate me, man. I'm gonna read all your guys' comments anyway, do you know what I mean? So just let me know. Yeah, I had another thing to say, and it's escaped my mind. But oh yeah, this was so Africa gets help with their infrastructure being built up by China and other areas. Africa said yeah. If they said no, is this what would have happened to them? If they would said no, would things that's happening like maybe at Congo or Palestine be happening if they had said no? Yeah, it just gets you thinking, doesn't it?
Bill Cosby got locked up because him and his wife didn't want to let the second largest.
Well, yeah. Yeah, obviously, you're not comfortable with doing anything, guys. Don't do it at all. Is there another video? Yeah, there was another video. I don't know why that didn't play. This is the last video now, yeah? I'm gonna have to just play it separately.
This is a Black Panther paper from 1970, right? 1970 cost 25 cents. Now I'm gonna flip on the back of it. From 1970, the back. What the back say? Now, why would the Black Panthers be talking about that in 1970? Man, we don't care about what's going on over there, man. They got nothing to do with it. Why would they be talking about this? Because the person on the front, you know what he said? He said you should think globally and act locally. And these niggas understood that this arm right here, with this right here, talking about police brutality, they knew, hey, look, write down the status quo. They gonna send a lawman over there, you feel me, to Israel. He gonna perfect all this little policing skills. They gonna send him back to America to beat a nigga head in.
Okay, that was dark. But yeah, that's the last of the videos. The whole time, sorry, but I'm just very like impressed that these newspapers are in such good quality. Yeah, I'm like very, very impressed. Like that's what I had on my mind the whole time, which was quite annoying. But like was said, he didn't say who this was, but as a Black Panther. But I think the leading message is this: you need to start thinking globally and acting locally. We need to start telling our stories, and we need to start building up and working together, and not segregating ourselves to postcodes, cities, countries. Another thing that I was thinking about was all these videos were sent to me. I found some, and they managed to actually all align with one another. But one thing I noticed is that every person that was speaking here, they were all Black. So what I'm noticing that means is that there is no other type of human that is outwardly speaking about these things, which suggests that we are speaking up, we are speaking globally, we are acting locally. But the original video is called, that I had, was named Unity. And why it was called Unity is because I feel like I said it before, without unity, there's no freedom. Without freedom, there's no peace. Without no peace, there's no equality. Without no equality, there's no equity. And they all cross over. And that is what everyone seems to want, but no one seems to be going after. And by no one, I mean those who are in a favorable position when it comes to equity. So what I would really like to happen and to come forward from this is for other people to start talking out on these things. And if you guys do know anyone that isn't Black, that does talk up about things just like this, I'd like these videos to be sent to me. Because clearly me and other people who sent me these videos, our timelines are showing us only one set of people. But for things to change, we're all gonna have to start working together, and the amount of things that need to be changed, the list is endless. I know this already, but it doesn't mean that it's not worth doing, and it doesn't mean that it can't not be done. Yeah, anyway, I was aiming that this was going to be a 20-minute video. It's ended up being a 34-minute video. This is the last video that I'm going to be doing on Black History Month. If you like this, let me know. Give me your comments down below. Let me know your opinions on things. Is Black History Month in America right now. In a few months, is going to be Black History Month for the UK. So I'm excited to maybe make some different kind of content when it comes to Black History Month, a bit more scripted, a bit more prepared, and I want to present you with those kinds of things. So like I said, if you know any other video that you'd like to be included or any other things that you want me to talk about, let me know. And one thing is I wanted to say that I was thinking about the other day is that, like, I never really liked Black History Month. mainly because it only ever says slavery this, slavery that. But this year, I actually really do like it. And that is because I've realized that we get 2 opportunities per year to celebrate Black history on a world scale. And I know that we all individually celebrate Black history every day. But that's one thing that I do like about Black this history is that we've got 2 dates to celebrate our history. So let's celebrate it right. And let's end the video there. My name's K Prophet, and this was another Black History Month related reaction video. Unity is what's needed, and as you can see here, at the moment, there's a load of people down here. And these are little runts. You can see some runts down here. And then we've got 2 fat bitches up here suckling from one place. What's that? Belgium. Is that Portugal as well? Portugal. And wasn't someone fighting for... They fought Portugal for independence? Yeah, I'm gonna leave it here, guys. Yeah. Next month is March. Spring equinox. It's the year of the horse, if you're into that. Yeah, things are changing every day. So I know I've obviously said all of this, but things are changing every day. Let's try and make it change for the better. And with that, I am gone, because otherwise I could just talk to you myself, you guys, forever if I don't stop myself. So yeah, man, I love you all.